Hello, darlings. Adabers hai. Today we have somebody truly remarkable with us. When I first met him 15 years ago, I had no idea about the depth of his knowledge. But I was introduced to him as the father of my friend. So I called him Abbas uncle. But the world knows him as a scholar, as a missionary, and Ismailis know him as Alwais. His name is Ghulam Abbas. His life and learning journey has been remarkable. It started from Hunza, Pakistan, and landed all the way in UNESCO's headquarters in Paris, France. His journey is nothing short of extraordinary. He has studied both Western and Eastern philosophy with focus on Sufism. Particularly, he has studied Pir Nasir Khusraw and Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. It is my absolute honor to have him on the podcast today. Given his background, I have invited him today to talk to our parents and teachers to help us understand how we can help our children grow in a balanced manner in today's complex world. So with that being said, I'm going to invite him right in. Hello, Abbas Saab. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. And thank you for the nice introduction. I am a simple person. And as I progressed in my life, I began to love simplicity. So I'm very grateful for creating this opportunity to talk to you. And I hope in our communication, there will be something good for people, and that should be our ultimate motive. And as you very kindly talked about my background, my study in Western philosophy as well as Eastern philosophy, focusing on the Sufi side. In my humble understanding, our times are quite complicated when it comes to educating our children, because there are so many competing ideas in the field, different approaches emerging from different ideological backgrounds. So in such a time, we have to be very, very careful and educate ourselves properly to educate our children, because the times are changing very fast. They have been changing in each era, but sometimes they change faster than other times. So this is the fastest so far. We may have even faster times in future. So in my humble reflection on education, I think the parents as well as teachers may emphasize on two very important and critical dimensions of education. One is ethics and the other is spirituality. Ethics, because in all world faiths, as well as other ideologies, paradigms of thinking, ethics seems to be common to all human beings. But the sources of ethical values may differ. For example, the Sufi side of ethics comes from spiritual or metaphysical dimension of life, whereas humanism also has an ethical dimension. And that comes from human beings or human society. Ethics that connect us, or developing joint values, ethical values, which are useful for society. Whichever the source, ethical values appear to be uniting human beings. They have this capacity, and therefore we need to be aware of a global ethical or cosmopolitan ethical dimension, because these values, instead of going deep into the origin, when we are linking ourselves to different individuals with different thinking patterns. So so we just focus on the simple ethical values which are needed um, for to have a safer and healthier human society. So in my humble understanding, the ethical education primarily should be based on ethics. Ethics really means an awareness of what is right and what is wrong, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Although it's not very simple that everybody believes in the same type of values, they may have a different perspective on them, but generally speaking, ethical values can be understood uh, in a manner which actually brings human beings closer to each other and societies closer to each other. So ethics, therefore, appears to be the first and foremost area for future education, that we are all human beings to develop a society which is healthier, which is proper in our times, and in future, we need to focus on certain human actions, certain human values like generosity, brotherhood, and caring for each other, and being truthful. These are almost appreciated, these values, in every culture and every religion. So the children have to develop this understanding that we are part of one human brotherhood. And Quran also talks about nafs wahida. On the level of nafs wahida, single soul, we are all one. And then from there is diversity in everything. So it seems that diversity itself is an ethical value if it is understood in a proper context. So diversity doesn't divide us. It is there, part of natural existence. Diversity in everything, diversity in languages, in religions, in cultures, in all sorts of human society. You see diversity, and this diversity gradually, as we go above, it starts merging into a unity. So we focus on that unity when it comes to humanity. So that is a perspective how we should understand ethics. And the other side, which is so important, is a spiritual side. Human being is not just a body. We have a body and spirit. And when we die physically, the body and soul are separated. And in my humble understanding, after physical death, the human soul survives. And in fact, even in this life, if we focus on our spiritual side, develop awareness of an existence which is beyond material or time space related existence. So there we experience that there is an element in our life which is called spirit or soul, or a metaphysical reality, and that becomes so clear, so convincing, that the physical life becomes less real compared to the spiritual life. So that reality is very critical, particularly for those who belong to a faith. They focus, instead of ritualistic dimension of faith, they focus on the essential side of the faith, which is the soul, eternity. The only part which is eternal in us is the eternity of soul. So therefore, this needs to be ingrained in children, that you are not a body only, but you are a soul. The moment we enter into the domain of soul, then there, particularly when we try to experience it, for example, through the practice of zikr, through the practice of love, and through the practice of prayer. Prayer can have a physical side. People write books on details of prayer, but my focus is on the spiritual side of prayer. Spiritual side means when you absorb yourself in prayer, gradually you rise above time and space. When you rise above time and space, there, the time, the physical time that we live in all the time, physically as well as in our consciousness, psychologically, there is a boundary from where we rise above time and space. And when we enter into the domain of spirit, there is no time. There is no past and there is no future. There is only presence. When from the beginning we educate the children that you have such a reality within you which is not bound in time and in space, then that is the very powerful dimension of your existence. And initially we feel that whenever we talk about it, it's initially talking is theoretical. But we encourage children to enter into that dimension by themselves. It can be done through two ways. One is through education, the other is through your personal life. For example, if parents themselves are committed to rise above time and space, they are committed, they're engaged practically. And this is very much linked with ethics. I think all the religious scriptures, Quran itself always says that you rise above time and space through prayer and good actions. Good actions is ethics. If parents themselves give the message through their life, how they live to the children, and then explain it in a rational way with hope, with confidence, then the children can actually feel the existence of this reality within us. And then it doesn't matter where we live, we are focused on our spiritual development and also our material development. And this is the parents have to be aware, and also they have to have skills to explain it, to interact with children, but through ethics. If the children ask question back, we should never devalue their question. Instead, we should encourage them, engage in a dialogue. Even if they don't accept your dialogue, just engage through in a nice way, through communication with them, never lessening your love for them. So gradually, I am 100% sure they start feeling about this inner reality. And this is how, broadly speaking, we can engage when it comes to the values of our faith. And inshallah, not only it helps both the families, but also it helps children that they are living, particularly in the West, in a secularized society, where they're living in an ocean of secularism. So then, instead of telling them, those who don't believe in Allah, hate them because they are kafirs. That's not the way in today's world. So we have to use language very carefully. We have to uh, believe in the integration, not rejection, not assimilation, integration of our faith in a society which may be predominantly secular. And this is that it happens through a dialogical approach. So again, not rejection, not assimilation, but dialogically based integration. And this is helpful not only for us, those who have faith, but also it can help those who don't have faith. In a friendly environment, you try to integrate with them.
Thank you for the comprehensive answer, Abbas. I'm so glad that you talked about spirituality and the dialogical approach when guiding our children. So, building on that, since you've done research on these big personalities such as Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi and Pir Nasir Khusraw, how do you think those two personalities play a role in guiding us as we educate the younger generation today?
It's a very good question. Uh, you know, we cannot live without the past. We have spiritual forces, intellectual forces, which were created by great people in the past. We must always uh, uh, go into the past and utilize the powerful ideas they have generated in their own times. So, in fact, when ideas become they become mature, they go beyond time, beyond space, and they become relevant to all times. These two individuals on whom I have done some research. I don't claim to do a very deep research, but I have spent time on understanding Maulana Rumi and Pir Nasir Khusraw. Both these great individuals, they, in their own way, developed ideas which are originally they came through ta'id to them, inspiration, not just intellectual, conceptual way, but more both intellectually powerful and also inspirational. Maulana Rumi was a great scholar of his time, great theologian. But when he rose above theology, again he entered into a domain of existence which was beyond time and space, and therefore he experienced it, and then he rose above the quarrelsome dimension of religion. Quarreling, I'm right, you are wrong, and then the other side, you are wrong and I am right. These arguments, they stay behind when you enter into the spiritual domain. And both these individuals were inspired. They, in my humble understanding, they had contacted or experienced the metaphysical side of the faith, which is the spiritual in a simple language. And they were inspired powerfully inspired from that side. And therefore, their language and their teachings are still relevant for all human beings. Nasir Khusraw's tradition on inspired intellect, aql, it is very famous among Persian speaking and non Persian speaking people. The value of human intellect, because it's intellect which makes human being different than animal, the understanding of right and wrong. And this, for a person of faith, your own intellectual capacity is not enough. That is helped by prophetic knowledge and by the knowledge of Prophet's successor or Imamat for Shia Islam. And for Sunni Islam also, there is always a guide to help people rise above time and space. So therefore, in essence, both of them need spiritual guidance to enhance your own intellect. In a way, intellect is very powerful. You know, it's used, the Quran is very clear how to reflect, how to use our intellect. You know, I wonder sometimes when people became over emotional on many difficult issues, and they appear to be suspending intellect. They are completely consumed by emotional dimension. The Holy Prophet has never done it. He kept his cool in most difficult times. So we also, if we want to understand issues, we have to remain cool. The moment we allow our emotions overcome us, then our reasoning becomes suspended. And all your solution, all your reactions to the realities around us become based on emotions. The emotions need to be guided and controlled by human intellect. For a religious person, that intellect, you know, all knowing is Allah. So you link up internally with the divine wisdom, divine knowledge, and your knowledge itself becomes educated and with the help of the divine. And in our understanding, this divine wisdom is manifested through the books, through the Holy Quran, and through the prophets, Anbiya and Awliya. So therefore, the approach is, therefore, we use our intellect extensively, but in the same time, create space that it needs support spiritually. It needs support from the divine book and the prophets, the Anbiya and Awliya, the Ahlul Bayt in our case. So therefore, these are the sources of our wisdom. But make sure we use our mind in solving our issues with the awareness that divine wisdom will help us. But if we go emotionally right into the reactionary mode, that is very dangerous for all human beings, whoever does it, because they don't see the consequences. They just see, you know, I'm emotional, let me express it. You know, go out and, you know, express your emotion, uh, use the very provocative language. No. Cool down, remember Allah, whatever, however difficult the situation may be. Remember Him, seek help from Him, and the source which Allah has provided to us. Of course, we go to Him through the source, and therefore you will see how you are given wisdom to understand the problems and make the right decisions. If we do go out and do make decision on the basis of our emotional fervor within us, then we wouldn't be able to see the reality. The Holy Prophet has amazingly keep cool in all circumstances. So that is the best example for me. And so therefore, the Muslims, if they want to grow, they have to use their intellect. And Quran is very clear. Why don't you think? Afala tash'urun, afala tatafakkarun, afala taf'alun, afala yatadabbarun. All these phrases refer to the function of intellect. I'm amazed how people cannot see it. However difficult the situation is, always connect internally with him, seek sabr, and then you make decisions and you will succeed in every sphere of life. So it's a big topic, but I will stop here. Yeah.
This is definitely a big topic, but you summarized it so well for us. We truly appreciate your presence here today, Ghulam Saab. We're so grateful that you shared your insights with us, and I'm sure it's going to help out the audience as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me opportunity.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.